Hi guys, and welcome to your first lesson on conditionals. Um, so we're going to be looking at these conditional sentences through June, and we're going to start today with zero and first conditionals, in other words, real conditionals. So I guess the first question we need to answer is, what actually are conditionals? And a conditional sentence tells us the condition on which a possible or hypothetical event depends. And in real English, basically, conditional sentences tell us what will happen if something else happens. So, if it's sunny tomorrow, we can go to the beach. Going to the beach basically depends on having sunny weather. Nobody wants to go to the beach in the rain. So if we have this, we can do this. We use conditionals to talk about past, present or future situations, talk about a mix of different times, and talk about things which are possible, so those are the real conditionals, or impossible, and those are the unreal conditionals. So let's focus in on these zero conditionals. So a zero conditional has two present simple clauses. And this word clause basically is just part of a sentence. A zero conditional sentence tells us that if A happens, B also happens. And here's an example of a sentence. If ice gets hot, it melts. And this comma is separating the two clauses. So this is the if clause here, and this one here is your main clause. A zero conditional sentence always talks about the present, and we're talking about something which is true now and always. In other words, we're talking about a state. Now, if we go back to our ice cream, if ice cream gets hot, it melts. This is true now and always. There is no condition where this is not true. Okay? And another example of things which are always true is that people are always happy when the weather's nice. You might notice in this sentence that I have used when instead of if. That's okay. And I've also changed the order of my clauses. So in this sentence I have my if clause at the beginning. In this sentence I have my clause using when at the end. And that means that we don't need to have the comma in the middle, okay? So main clause at the beginning, when or if clause at the end. And finally, for these zero conditionals, we often use them in instructions and rules, probably because instructions and rules are always true and they don't change. So in football, if you touch the ball with your hand, the other team gets a free kick. That won't change from one game to another. Okay, so I want to start looking a little bit at stress with you. And I'm going to mark stress with blue circles like this. In fact, there's another one. And stress basically is the loud part of the sentence. It's really, really important in spoken English. And so this sentence here, if ice gets hot, oh, I've missed my S. If ice gets hot, it melts. So one stress, one stress, one stress. Alright, first conditionals then. First conditionals have got a different structure. So with the if clause, you have a present tense, but in the main clause, you have a future tense. And these first conditionals tell us that if A happens, B will happen as well. So they're really talking about the future outcome of a present situation. And here's a good example. If we don't hurry, we'll miss the train. So maybe we have got 2 minutes to get to the station and get on our train, and we need to run, because if we don't run, the train will leave without us. First conditionals talk about things the speaker thinks are likely to happen. So I might say this to a student: you'll pass the exam if you work hard enough. And I think this is likely because I see this student working. This student always does her homework. She always comes to class. She works really hard. So I think this future situation is likely to happen. And again, look, I've changed the order of the clauses and I've taken away that comma in the middle. So first conditionals are often used for promises or advice. So I might say to my student, I'll buy you a present if you pass your exams. Or I could say, if you leave now, you might be able to get a seat, and that's a little bit of advice. And I've changed this word here. So all of my other sentences are using will, and now I'm using might. So this is less likely than will. And some stress for you. If we don't hurry, we'll miss the train. If we don't hurry, we'll miss the train. So it's really important to notice that I'm not saying we will miss the train. This will is contracted. It's really small. But this word might, there is no contraction, so we can't make this any shorter. If you leave now, you might be able to get a seat. Alright, so a very quick summary for you then. Zero conditionals have two present simple clauses. They talk about something that is always true, and they are often used for talking about facts, rules and instructions. First conditionals. They have an if clause with a present tense and a main clause with will or might. Now beware, this is a super common mistake, and that is to use two future tenses, and this, I see this a lot. If I will come, I will see you there. This is not okay. No will here. First conditionals talk about the future outcome of a present situation, and they can use might instead of will. Might is less likely than will. And finally, will is pronounced as I'll see you there.